One of the fastest growing ESL markets is in China. Well, because it has the largest population of students eager to learn English. English has become so important in China for the reason that the country wants to promote internationalism and for trade and business matters. Moreover, English has also become a compulsory subject and is gradually being introduced even earlier into the curriculum in many schools. Because of this, English teachers are very much in demand to keep up with the growing English education consumption. This video aims to provide you tips on how to teach English to Chinese students. Keep watching to discover the most common errors that Chinese students make while speaking English. Let's get started, shall we? In Chinese, there aren't separate gender pronouns. When Chinese speakers learn English, they often forget to use the appropriate gender pronouns. They mostly default to the masculine versions, which can lead to awkwardness when they refer to women using he or his. To solve this, first make sure that your students understand the difference between he and she. You could hold two pictures, one with a man and one with a woman, then practice sentences like he sees her, she sees him, or he talks to her, she talks to him. This is a big one. There are many situations in Chinese where the word have is used where we would use is in English. So as a result, you hear English phrases like there have instead of there is. The confusion mainly comes from the student's own language background. Therefore, it's necessary to explain the difference in meaning between the two and how they're being used in different contexts. Explain to your students that the difference in usage depends on where you want the focus of your sentence to be. For example, if you say, the building has 5 rooms, the focus is on the building and what it possesses. If you say, there are 5 rooms in the building, the focus is on the rooms and not the building. In Chinese, there is no distinction between the singular and plural noun forms. Moreover, there is no such thing as countable and uncountable nouns. When Chinese people speak or write English, they tend to make this mistake. For instance, if someone said one cat in Chinese, cat is singular. But if someone said many cat, it's already considered plural. You'll need to make sure your students understand the difference. It's best to explain this as one for singular and 2 or more for plural. Then spend a few minutes every lesson practicing singular and plural forms. This is quite normal in Chinese. The reason you may often hear I very like in Chinese is that it's a word-for-word translation from one language into another. Explain to your students that the proper way to use very is before adverbs and adjectives to add emphasis. It means to a great degree. For example, the student says, I very like that. Tell him that he cannot modify verbs directly. It's possible to say, I very much like that, although I like that very much is the usual preferred order. In Chinese, there is no such thing as verb conjugation to match with a corresponding subject. In English, we say, I like cheese, he likes cheese, they like cheese. In Chinese, there aren't separate forms for like and likes, so one would simply say, he like cheese. It's best to drill some examples and just keep correcting the students every time you notice the mistake. Verb conjugation is one of the most difficult parts of the English language for native Chinese speakers to master, simply because there are so many tenses. Verb conjugation refers to how a verb changes to show a different person, tense, number, or mood. For example, in English we say, today is Friday and yesterday was a Thursday, but in Chinese, the verb stays the same. The tense is shown by the time stated, but the verb never changes. Explain to your students the difference between the tenses used in English. You have to make them aware of their mistake. When your students use a verb in a wrong tense, you can make a gesture, just like uh-oh, so they can correct themselves. It's always better to teach students to correct themselves rather than correcting them yourself. In Chinese, there is no need for articles before nouns. Chinese speakers often forget to place the appropriate article when speaking or writing English. Sometimes articles should not be inserted, but Chinese speakers insert them anyways, perhaps because they remembered that they should be aware of using articles when speaking or writing English. Therefore, we get bloopers like the following sentences. Generally, students will learn quicker when they learn sentences instead of words. The best way to master articles is to get exposure. Here are some sentences that combine multiple mistakes. Notice that the meanings of these sentences are still fairly clear despite the incorrect grammar. There are nearly no words in Chinese that end in a consonant. Think about it. Just about everything ends in a vowel. So, trying to pronounce many English words that end in a consonant is extremely difficult. Colleague becomes colleaga. Wife becomes wifea. Dog becomes dogga. A lot of Chinese students, especially the adult learners, have problems with pronunciation, so they need extra help with it. Tell your students to listen to as much English as possible. This way, they will naturally learn how to stress and pronounce words. In Chinese, people's last names are spoken and written before their first names, which is the other way around in English. This can lead to confusion when you ask your students for their first name and they tell you their last name. Explain to your students that the last name is a family name or surname and that the first name is what your family calls you. These are just some of the common errors that Chinese speakers make when speaking English. Can you think of other examples? What problems do your students struggle with? Feel free to leave a comment below. These mistakes might still happen occasionally, but by making an effort to appreciate their culture and language, you'll become more patient and understanding of them. Just keep correcting the students every time you notice mistakes. This is important for effectively teaching Chinese students and helping them overcome difficulties with learning English. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps you with your learning goals. Stay tuned for more videos. Please let me know what you think of this video and leave a comment what English topic I should discuss next. Hit subscribe, like, and share so that it gets recommended to more people. Get motivated, stay motivated.